Om Shanti, guys. Let us begin with today's session. So sit comfortably, keep your back and neck straight. And once you feel ready, very gently close your eyes and just start observing the natural flow of your breath. Watch each and every inhalation, each and every exhalation without making any change. Now slowly shift your attention to your body, become aware of posture. Make sure you are correctly aligned. And now slowly come back to your breathing. Begin to deepen the breath, going for slow, long and deep inhalation. Slow, long and deep exhalations. We're going to open today's session by chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Take a deep breath in for Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Join both your palms together and begin to rub the palms. Place the palms on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking in the palms. Open up the eyes, coming back to the smile. Shanti. Let us begin our session for today. So we are starting with yoga philosophy, like all other classes, right? So in previous class, we started with the topic of the different schools of yoga, and we have come to the final, we came to the finally to 4 major schools of yoga. And today we are going to talk about the next major school of yoga, which is Bhakti Yoga, right? So Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, these are 2 schools which, most of you who are watching these classes, it will be the easiest way, the most practical way for you to incorporate yoga in your life, right? Gyan Yoga and Raj Yoga, the other 2 schools, they are very advanced schools, and most of us, we are not mentally, bodily prepared for those schools. But if you are a common person living your everyday life, fulfilling your responsibilities, and you understand that it is your responsibility to fulfill certain tasks. You cannot leave those behind. You cannot leave the society you are existing in behind. If you are in that category, then these first two schools will be very beneficial for you, because they are getting aligned with the way in which we are living. Okay, so last class we talked about Karma Yoga, and I told you what Karma Yoga, philosophy of Karma Yoga says overall, right? And today we are going to talk about one of the most commonly, even more commonly practiced than Karma Yoga is Bhakti Yoga, right? So no matter which part of the world you are from, I am sure that when you were growing up, or uh, sorry, so as a part of wherever you were growing up, or where you were born, by default there's some traditions that are passed down to us. Like in my family, I was taught certain chantings and certain gods. I was introduced to certain gods, and I was told, pray to these gods, right? So depending on what tradition or culture you come from, you might most likely have some god or some power above yourself that you believe in, and maybe in some part of your life or the other you have done some chantings, or some way of making an offering or worshipping a god, right? So Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion. Bhakti, this term is derived from the root word bhaj, 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 and this term means loving service. Okay, so the path of devotion is nothing but all about surrendering. Okay, so all you have to do on this path is surrender. And the more you surrender, the more uh, more deeply you delve into this philosophy, right? Philosophy, or you can say school of yoga, right? So, like I was saying, at some point of time, maybe in your life, you have prayed, right? So you don't know who you're praying to, maybe sometimes, but prayer is just a way of believing that something out there can help you, right? Something which is beyond your capacity. It can help you to recover, or uh, manage some kind of situation, right? So you will see so many people who don't believe in God also. They end up praying, especially when the situation is completely out of their control, right? And bhakti, like I said, it means love and service. So through your surrender and through your service, which is filled with love, right? You purify the mind, you purify the speech, the body, right? And through these actions, you purify yourself completely to come out of uh, impurities or defilements of the mind, like anger, jealousy, hatred. Okay, and love is the base emotion of what we do mostly in our lives, right? Everything that we do, it's argued. Human being, whatever the human being is doing, right? It's an attempt to, you know, gain a little bit more love and acceptance from the people around them, right? When you just reach out to someone, or maybe even when you are angry at someone, it is because you love them, right? So the pure emotion is existing within all of us, the pure emotion of love. But because of so many impurities, so many labels, what has happened? It has become polluted. But you need to recognize that below all of that garbage, there is this pure emotion which has given rise to all of that, right? Which has, it's not given rise to the garbage, but because of the impurities, this base emotion, it gets hidden, right? It's like milk. milk has a particular quality, and when you mix water, when you mix different chemicals, maybe there's some dust, all of these things they get into milk, so milk doesn't remain milk, right? Milk, um, you might say that this is not milk anymore, right? But the basic quality of milk is still present over there, right? It's just reduced a lot because of all the other mixing that we have done, but love is always there, right? So love is there in each and everything that you do, be it you hate someone, be it you are angry at someone, be it you are getting jealous, right? If you recognize this base emotion, right, and you see that okay, I need to work through it because it is the base emotion which is driving me, right? Then you will be able to come out of the impurities, right? So just a second. Okay, so yes, coming back to bhakti, right? So bhakti yoga, it has many practices, and you know how sometimes people listen to the word yoga and they just want to doze off because they think it's very boring, right? So for those of you who feel that yoga is very boring, you need more entertainment, you need more like ways in which you can get gripped by the practice. Bhakti yoga is the path for you, right? Why? Because Bhakti Yoga has so many amazing things. It has the chanting of mantras, it has kirtans, it has dancing, singing, such great variety. People go from one part of the world to another, or one part of the country to the other, because they are wanting to, show their devotion towards a particular god, right? So Bhakti Yoga is full of various activities which will keep the mind very focused, and it will also fit in very easily into your life, right? So some people they have the tradition of just praying before they eat. Some people have tradition of praying when they wake up. They take bath, they get ready, and then they go and pray. Depending on what tradition you are from, you might have your own timing or your own understanding with regard to prayer. Some people like to be more specific, they like to chant mantras. Some people, some mantras are associated with certain gods, so you might want to chant those if you are devoted to that god, right? So Bhakti Yoga is like for any common person who doesn't like, doesn't want to go too deeply into the logical understanding of things, but just knows how to devote their energy to something, right? And devotion just to anyone isn't, the thing in Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, devote yourself to a god, and god is considered to have certain qualities, right? So whatever god you choose, they are supposed to be free from this entire life and death cycle, and they should have adorable qualities, right? So let's take the example of Jesus only. So Jesus had such a beautiful and adorable quality of, you know having unconditional love, right, towards everybody. Even those people who went after him, they wanted to kill him, they wanted to crucify him, right? Even towards those people, he said this thing that they don't know what they are doing, right? And he asked for forgiveness for them on their behalf, right? So if you are a devotee of Lord Jesus, right, so Jesus Christ, right, so you have to develop this trait within you, right? You have to go through so much purification that the quality of the love, right, such unconditional love, it begins to show up in your action, it begins to show up in your speech, right? So when you choose a god, first thing, you have choice, especially if you come to Hinduism, right? So we have so many gods depending on what you which quality you like the most, right? Or what you believe is the highest in your life, right? Like knowledge, it could be knowledge, it could be anything, right? So you can choose a god, right? You can make a choice, right? And once you become devoted to that god, no questions asked, right? So the thing about surrendering is if you're still questioning it, it's not really surrender, right? So devotion, surrender means just totally giving into that thing, right? Allowing that thing to absorb you completely, right? So in today's world, yes, Bhakti Yoga, we are struggling with this concept of complete surrender. But in earlier times, it was much easier for people to practice. Currently also, if you believe you want to walk on the path of Bhakti Yoga, it's so accessible, so doable, then try to surrender as much as is possible for you, right? Remaining all of your logical questions, they will get answered on the way, right? In Bhagavad Gita, if you go to Bhagavad Gita, in the 12th chapter, Lord Krishna, he talks about Bhakti Yoga. If you want to learn more about it, you can open up the 12th chapter. You can read about it. In the 12th chapter, Lord Krishna himself tells Arjun that more than any other path, he values the devotee a lot. He thinks the devotee, he considers the devotee to be the best, right? Because the devotee has the power to surrender, right? No questions are asked, right? When you surrender, you your logical mind, it gets shut off, right? Like when you fall in love, right? When you fall in love, you are never logical, right? That is why so many people, end up in breakups, right? Why? Because when they were in love, they never saw, what were the flaws, or what were the difficulties that might come up. Because when you are in love, you are in love, right? Nobody can logically talk you out of that. XYZ person is not good for you. In fact, if your friends have ever tried to talk you out, or you have tried to talk your friends out of, like, when they were in love, right? You will see this thing that they will probably snap at you, right? They will say that it doesn't have to make sense. You don't understand the feeling, right? Because when your emotions are very, very high, your logic, it just goes away, right? So in 12th chapter, Lord Arjun, he says that he values the devotee the most, because all other yogis, they want to, make a bridge. So from where they are standing to where they want to go, they will build a bridge, or they will make the stairs, right? Through their different practices. Maybe asana is building one stair, then pranayama is building one stair, right? Like this. So all the other people or all the other schools of yoga, they are asking you to put an effort to build something, right, in order to reach to the other side, right? But bhakti yoga, bhakt has the power of just taking a leap of faith. The bhakt will jump, right, completely surrendering to whatever there is, right? Not even making little bit of effort to build a stair, right? They know that if they surrender wherever they are, the other yogis, they will build the stairs, and then from final point they will jump, right? So bhakt realizes wherever they are, they can jump from there only, right? So bhakti yoga is a beautiful path. I would highly recommend, if you are even slightly interested, you should go attend kirtans, you should go attend uh, the various rituals that are out there, which people do out of a sense of devotion. And to someone who is standing outside, this will seem like complete madness, no? Right? It will seem like complete madness, because the person is worshipping the stone, right? Like it is alive. In India, if you see, right? I don't know if you are aware of this, but a lot of people, they are such big devotees that, when they wake up, they go and wake up the god. When they they bathe, then they bathe the god. Then they give food to god, right? It is the entire routine that they have. God also has the idol of god that they have in their home, that also has an entire routine, and their day is entirely circled around this, right? So for someone who is standing outside, this will seem like complete madness, right? That a person is, worshipping a stone, right? But if you closely look at it, look from their eyes, that thing is real, right? It's just the human gaze, which has the power to make something which is unreal real, right? There's so many times we really, really believe in something, even if it's not true, right? And then because of the way we are looking at it, because of the high, love and expectation we have, right? We look at that thing with so much adoration, right? That it actually becomes true. That thought, that idea, it actually comes into reality, right? So it's our, you know, the look or the way in which we are treating that thing, it gives life to that thing. If you ever ask a bhakt, if you meet a true devotee, you ask them, they will see life in everything, they will see God in everything, right? So bhakti is all about this, right? So if you open Bhagavad Gita again, Arjun is in a deep conflict by the 12th chapter. I told you there are only 18 chapters. So by the 12th chapter, Arjun is in deep conflict, right? And so many ways in which Lord Krishna has already explained to him why he should fight the war, but nothing is like every time he is coming up with some argument, right? So in the 12th chapter, Lord Krishna he says, stop asking all of this, just surrender, right? Surrender to me. I'm guiding you, right? Devote yourself to me and go and do the action. Think that I'm doing the action. Go and do the action as a way, like as an offering to me, right? So if you open Bhagavad Gita, there are two types of bhaktis that have been talked about. One is apara bhakti and second is para bhakti. Okay, apara is APARA, apara, and para bhakti is PARA, para bhakti, right? So apara bhakti, this is considered to be the lower form of bhakti, right? Apara bhakti is more about, suppose, so who is bhakti yoga for? First, let me come back and answer this. If you are a very emotional person, right? If your friends keep telling, your family keeps telling you, we cannot argue with you. You are so emotional, right? Or you keep saying, I feel this, I feel that, right? If you are a very emotional person, bhakti yoga is the path for you, right? Because emotions are getting a negative outlook, or they are getting expressed in negative way because of these defilements of the mind, right? Through bhakti yoga, you channel yourself in that direction where you are open to taking this emotion, these emotional waves into and directing them in a more positive direction, right? Along a more positive path. Right. So if you're a very emotional person, go for Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga has instant impact, right? You will observe this thing also. If you practice Bhakti Yoga, the impact of Bhakti Yoga is so quick. It is so quick, and the result is felt so immediately that the person who practices Bhakti Yoga, they recognize that what is the, you can say, best thing, or the, like, most expected thing. Motivation is very high for Bhakti Yoga, right? So if you ask somebody to sit for meditation, maybe they will not be open to that, right? It will require a lot of motivation for someone to sit for a long period of time. But Bhakt, go and ask people to dance, go and ask people to celebrate. There are so many festivals around, celebrating God's birth, celebrating the various substantial events of various God's life, right? So many things, even in India, are circled around, celebration. Bhakti Yoga feels as if something is being celebrated, something is being appreciated, right? Rather than it being very serious, it being very, like boring, you can say. Like other parts where you have to just open, read a book, intellectualize, you have to reflect back. This is a very rigorous process. You have to you have to sit, do meditation, or maybe for karma yoga, you have to, constantly again be aware, right? So in Bhakti Yoga also, first you have to be aware. But Bhakti Yoga has this sense of celebration infused in it, right? And hence a lot of people, they get very easily connected to the path of bhakti, right? So I was talking about the two types of bhakti, apara and para. So apara is the lower form of bhakti and para is the higher form of bhakti. So we will take this up tomorrow. We will talk about both of them, and we are going to discuss a little bit more about bhakti yoga in tomorrow's session. Let me begin with the pranayam session for today because we are covering two pranayams today. We are going to cover Sheathli and Sheathkari pranayam today. Okay, Sheathli, Sheathali, Sheathli, and Sheathkari, Sheathkari, Sheathkari. Sheathli and Sheathkari pranayam. Right. So Sheathli, Sheathkari, both these words, they have been derived from the root word sheath. Sheath means cool. Okay. So as you have already recognized, both of them are cooling pranayams. Generally, both of them are taught together because they are just variations of each other. If you are unable to do one, you can go ahead and do the other one. Right. If you are able to do both, again, it's amazing. Both of them have same impact, right? They have similar benefits. So even if you go for one of them, it's sufficient. But if you are able to do both, then also it's good enough, right? So Sheathli, Sheathkari, these are both cooling pranayams. How can you place them in your class? After you do the asana practice, you can go for a few heating pranayams, right? Because already through asana practice, there is a lot of catharsis that takes place in the body, right? And then you can work on channeling that catharsis through the heating pranayams. And then at the end of your session, you want to go for some tranquilizing or cooling pranayam so that all of this energy that has been, generated and then channeled, right? This energy, then you need to just make sure that at the end of the session, everything is calmed down. People regain their energy and then they leave or walk out of your class, right? So cooling pranayams have their very important role. Okay, they have very important role because at the end of the day, people are looking for relaxation through the practices of yoga, right? So when you go for Sheathli and Sheathkari pranayam, at the end of the session, right, just before you close the session, it will make sure that people are getting like very soothing state of mind, right? How do you practice Sheathli and Sheathkari? First, let me discuss the technique, okay, and then I will tell you some things that you have to take care of, and then we will go for the benefit of both these pranayams, right? So Sheathli is generally practiced. So both of these pranayams, again, you have to become aware of this thing. Both of these pranayams, even though since the beginning of the sessions, I have been telling you that you have to inhale and exhale through the nose only, these two pranayams become an exception. Okay. The Sheathli and Sheathkari are exceptions to this thing. If you are practicing them, you take an inhalation through your mouth and you exhale through the nose. Okay. So key factor for both of them is inhale through mouth, exhale through nose. Okay. In Sheathli, we bring the tongue out, make a tubular form of the tongue, inhale through this tubular form through the mouth only, and then we close the mouth and exhale through the nose. Okay. So again, I will repeat this again and I will demonstrate this also. When you inhale, right, you form a tubular form of your tongue. You inhale through the mouth and exhale through the nose. Once you have inhaled, you take the tongue back in, right, and then you close the mouth and you exhale only through the nose, right? There are a lot of people who are unable to roll their tongue, right? And for those people, the practice of Sheath Kari Pranayama exists, right? In Sheath Kari, we keep the teeth together and take the lips or open the mouth, right? Keep the mouth open, but keeping the teeth together. We inhale through the gaps in our teeth, Okay. Once you inhale, while you are inhaling, there would be a hissing sound, right? And once you inhale, again you close your mouth and exhale through the nose, right? So Sheath Pranayama is called the cooling breath, and Sheath Pranayama is also known as the hissing breath. Okay. So let me demonstrate both of them. First, I will go for Sheathli. So you have to sit comfortably. You have to deepen the breath first for a while, and then just go for this process. Open your mouth, make a tubular form with the tongue. Okay. When you exhale again, that air that you took in through the mouth, that is going out through the nose. Okay. So be careful of this thing that you take your time to do this practice. Okay. If you are initially unable to do it, it's okay. You can try it a few times, right? Let me demonstrate Sheathkari also to you. So keeping the teeth together, open up your mouth. Right? So both of these pranayams, the best part about these pranayams is that they are very funny looking. So when your students will be doing them, you will get some, you can, smile a little bit because it looks very funny when I take out my tongue and roll the tongue. And same case, it's as if I'm giving a very big smile. When I do Sheathkari also, it seems as if I'm giving a very, very big smile. So it's very funny, right? So both Sheathli and Sheathkari, because of the breathing through the mouth and the air coming in contact with the saliva, right? The air gets cool, right? So if you inhale in Sheathli, Sheathkari, both, you will feel this coolness when you are taking the breath in through the mouth, right? So uh, this coolness is generated because we are taking the breath in through the mouth. Okay. Sheathli and Sheathkari just cannot be practiced anywhere. Okay, so you have to be careful of this thing that both of these pranayams, they just cannot be practiced anywhere. Why? Because our nose has different mechanisms to clear out a lot of bacteria and germs that are present in the air, right? Like when I inhale, right? So the air which is outside the body, when it comes in contact with the nose, already the temperature begins to rise. So because of rising of the temperature, right, some germs get killed. Then because of the hair that is present in your nose, some other impurities of the air, they get captured, right? So like this, because we breathe in and out continuously through the nose, we don't recognize this thing. But there are a lot of purification processes that are already going on in the nose, right, before the air reaches your lungs, right? When you breathe in and out through your mouth, you eliminate this cleansing, right? Because mouth essentially does not have any filters like this. And when we are inhaling, we are making the air cooler, right, through the inhalation. So you have to be careful that wherever you practice Shitli and Shikari, the air should be clean. Right now, suppose you are living in a city and you say that I have no control over the air I am around, right? So I cannot go to the hills, I cannot go to a place which is near the sea where the air keeps on getting refreshed. I live in a city and I possibly have no control. And in fact, if you live in a city, the chances of pollution being higher over there are much more than living in an offbeat or secluded area, right? So in that case, I told you in the beginning of the classes also, you need to set up your space, right? And in setting up the space, I mentioned one point where I said this thing that you can go ahead and get some plants where you sit and practice pranayama, right? So these days with COVID also coming in, so many people, they have started gardening, right? And there are so many indoor plants which don't require a lot of sunlight, or maybe which don't even require direct sunlight. You can very well have them in a room where there is natural lighting. or you will just have to shift them out every once in a while. They don't require a lot of maintenance also, right? And these plants, they have this special quality of cleansing the air around them, right? So one such example is the rubber plant. The rubber plant is it doesn't require a lot of maintenance, and it cleanses. It's specifically known to cleanse the air, right? So you can keep a few plants inside, right, which help you in your pranayama practices, right? Being having said this thing, right, just make sure you practice pranayama on the right timings, right? Because at one point of time, trees give out oxygen, right? So it will make the air or in that room much more conducive, right? But during night time, generally, plants also release carbon dioxide, right? So you don't want to be in that kind of environment. So if you are keeping plants inside, just make sure you practice in the morning or whenever you find time in the early hours of the day rather than pushing it till the night. Okay. Yeah. So let's come back to the pranayama. Let's discuss a few precautions, contraindications, and benefits. Precautions, this is the both of them are cooling pranayams, so don't go for them during winter time, right? If you do them in summers, they will have very good impact on you, not only on your mind, but even on a bodily level. Suppose it's very warm, right? And you are feeling the heat build up, right? You can definitely go and do a few rounds of Sheath and Sheath. You will feel immediate difference, even though the speed of the fan hasn't increased or maybe air conditioning hasn't been turned on. You will feel cool from inside, right? So yogis, they were very, intelligent people, I would say. They knew they couldn't carry heaters and air conditioning with them, and they found out mechanisms of the body only which could help them to regulate the temperature of the body, right? Sheathli and Sheathkari are two such practices which will take you more towards the calming and cooling side, right? What are the contraindications? So they are very similar to Chandrabhedan, low blood pressure, right? In case of low blood pressure, you should not go for this practice. In case of respiratory disorders like asthma, bronchitis, right? Also, for heart patients, retention should not take place, right? If you suffer from constipation, right, you should try to avoid cooling pranayams because they have a cooling impact even on the digestive system, right? So in those cases, try to avoid Sheathli and Sheathkari. Uh, Apart from this, you have to be very careful when you incorporate retention and Sheathli and Sheathkari. Why? Because retention, if you, however, retain the breath, you will notice this thing that the temperature of the body, it begins to rise a little bit when you do that. So for cooling practices, this will have exactly opposite impact. Okay. So you have to be very careful, go step by step when you increase the retention also. Here we are practicing without retention. But in case on more advanced levels you want to go ahead, do the retention also. So just make sure retention any which way should not be forced. It should be very natural. But over here, it might end up giving you the opposite impact of the practice. Maybe you are looking for cooling, you might end up with the opposite impact, feeling opposite, right? So retention has to be taken care of. Let's look at a few benefits, right, of the practice. Just a second. Sheathli and Sheathkari have multiple benefits, right? From calming down the breath to the heart rate to the blood pressure. Very good practice for hypertension patients, people who suffer from insomnia, right? Why? Because it is having very soothing effect even on the mind, right? So on a bodily level, it is calming down all of the processes, right? It's going to soothe your nervous system. It's going to soothe the mind. It's going to calm the mind. You will feel very peaceful, relaxed after the practice of both Shitli and Shitkari. Both of these pranayams, it has been said in Hatha Yogic texts that if you feel hungry, if you feel thirsty, right? I'm not talking about just the normal hunger or normal thirst, right? So in ancient times, people were able to experience even hunger more, thirst more. Why? Because everything wasn't as accessible as it is today, right? So when you are feeling that pang of hunger and there is no food around, that you want to just quench that deep thirst, right? You're feeling very thirsty, you're not getting access to water, right? So in that case, you can sit and do Shitli and Shitkari. The immense urge of consumption of water and food, it goes down, right? And so is the case with all the other urges that you feel extremely, right? If you practice Shitli and Shitkari, overall the mind, the body, the emotions, everything is going to begin to settle down, calm down, relax, right? So these are very, very good practices. I would highly recommend that you stick to at least one of the two for some time, practice it and see the benefits, right? So right now, because I know in most areas of the world it is cold weather, right? So you can go for lesser runs, but as the weather opens up in your area, you can begin to practice more and more. So today we will only practice about 10 to 15 rounds of each, right? So let's directly move into the practice, see the direct experience of these practices. So wherever you are, come up, sit comfortably, keep your back and neck straight, and very gently close your eyes. And just start observing the natural flow of your breathing. Connect with the breath and slowly shift your attention to your body. Make sure that you are correctly aligned. Slowly bring your attention back to your breathing and begin to take a few deep breaths. We're going to begin with our first practice, abdominal breathing. You can just sit normally, exhale fully, contract your abdomen, and then begin to inhale. As you inhale, expand your abdomen. As you exhale, contract your abdomen again. This is one round of abdominal breath. Inhaling, abdomen out, exhaling, abdomen in. Let's continue this practice. Go for slow, long, and deep breaths. Keep continuing your practice. Inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, abdomen in. After your next exhalation, just come back to the natural flow of your breath and just observe the changes of abdominal breathing. Keep your back and neck straight. Right hand form mudra. We are going to begin with the practice of Anulom Vilom. Exhale fully first. Close your right nostril and begin to inhale through the left nostril. Close the left nostril, open the right nostril, exhale. Again, inhale through the right side. Close the right nostril, open the left nostril, exhale. This is one round. Continue your practice like this. Always begin by inhaling through the left side and always finish the round of Anulom Vilom by exhaling through the left side. Keep switching the nostril. And after your next round, exhale fully from the left side and relax your hand. Keeping the back and neck straight, prepare yourself for the practice of Sheath Pranayama. So if you are able to, bring your tongue out, make a tube form of the tongue and begin to inhale through this tubular form. If you are unable to do Sheathli, you can go ahead and start practicing Sheath Kari and repeat that practice again when I give the instruction for Sheath Kari. Go for about 10 to 15 rounds. After completing the rounds, keep the back and neck straight. See how you are feeling. Keep your back and neck straight and prepare yourself for the practice of Sheath Pranayama. So if you are unable to do Sheath you can go ahead and practice Sheath once again. Otherwise, you can go for the practice of Sheath and if you can do both, then try Sheath only to see how it's different from Sheath. Keeping the teeth together, open your mouth and begin to inhale through the mouth. After you inhale, close your mouth and exhale through the nose. Anywhere between 10 to 15 rounds. Keep your back and neck straight, suspend your practice. Simply observe the impact of both the pranayams on your mind, on your body, on your breath. Prepare yourself for closing today's session. Keeping the back and neck straight, inhale deeply for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibrations, feel the sensation. Join the palms together, gently bow down. Begin to rub your palms together. Keep them on your eyes. We'll do this 2 more times. Rub the palms together. Keep them on the eyes. One last time, rub the palms. Keep them on your eyes. Spread this energy on your face, on your neck. Spread this energy throughout your body, and while looking down and blinking, open. Om Shanti. I will see you guys tomorrow for your next session. So take care, guys, and bye bye.